Nicole.
Shalom. Shabbat Shalom and welcome in the sanctuary and welcome at home and in each of your homes. We're so glad that you can be with us this morning and hoping that you can hear us at home. If you can hear us at home, just please give me a thumbs up so that I know. Good. Okay, good. And in the sanctuary, give me a thumbs up. Yeah, good. So we're all set. We're all set. So we are so delighted to have you with us and so delighted to worship together. And to pray and to sing and to move and to celebrate Shabbat and to celebrate in particular the Benot Mitzvah of Sivan and Sapna as well. And we'll ask you in the sanctuary to join us with your Sidurim. And at home, you'll see the visual tefillah. You'll see the slides come up of all of our prayers on your screens as well. And we'll invite you, please, even though we are not in all of the same physical spaces, we can be in all of the same spiritual spaces, each in our own respective ways, by way of our movements and our faces and using our prayer, our full prayerful selves as we move through this service. In just one moment, we'll start with the singing of Ma Tovu, which helps us actually. We know that we start big and we move in smaller. We say thanks for our spaces. Thank you for our physical spaces. Ma Tovu Ohalecha Yaakov. How great, how wonderful are your tents, this beautiful tent of our sanctuary and each of our respective tents as well. Just one moment. Just stop sharing. Okay. We're good. Yeah. No, we're all set with Ma Tovu. I'm hoping now you see it on your screens. Ma Tovu, and in the sanctuary, please join us on page 192 as Sapna begins with us with the singing of Ma Tovu.
Matavu ahaleyako vikenoteha Ba'ani belo kasteha avu beiteha Ishtahave uvicha kodsheha Virateha Adonai ahati oneteha Umko mishkan kebadeha Ba'ani ishtahave le'laha Eveha mipnei Adonai osi Ba'ani tefilati leha Adonai v'tzoi Elohim elo kaseha ani ve'elekishecha.
It is a pleasure at this time to invite the girls' grandfather and aunt to continue with us with this reading, which can be found on the screen in front of you.
Matter is never destroyed, only transformed. So too can the soul evolve higher and higher, from instinct to inspiration, haughtiness to holiness, selfishness to service, from individualism to union, to join with soul of souls, the infinite one. As the soul is magnified and sanctified, so is the infinite one exalted.
We'll continue together as we give thanks, as we give praise with the singing of Psalm 150. That can be found on page 218 in your Sidurim. Page 224 as we continue.
Praise to you, sovereign of wonders, crowned in adoration, delighted in song, eternal majesty.
रिकॉर्डिंग हो रही है सर वाइस तो नहीं जा रही
Just before we rise for our call to worship the Baruch, we'll invite you in just a moment to rise in body or in spirit. We'll ask those of you who are at home who aren't sitting with the Yosha family to please be sure to mute yourselves so that the girls can be heard clearly and that we can all worship together as one. So let's continue with our call to worship the Baruch, and that can be found on page 226 as we rise.
Blessed the eternal, the blessed one. Blessed is the eternal, the blessed one, now and forever. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher be'elmo Yisrael ba'achava. I praise to you, Adonai, who have singled out your people, Israel, with blood. Shema Yisrael, Adonai, Eloheinu, Adonai, Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Listen, Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever.
And please be seated as we continue with the Ve'ahavta, which can be found on page 232.
Like Moses, Miriam, and all Israel, we sing out and rejoice. sefer na'adila to sefer Shia Chadasha Shipul Ge'ulim Lashimcha al Sfat Hayam Yahad Kulam Hodu V'himniku V'amru Adonai lo Le'olam Va'ed Zar Yisrael Kuma Ve'ezrat Yisrael Uvdeya Himumecha Yehuda V'Yisrael Go'alenu Adonai Tzebaot Shema Kedosh Yisrael Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. Pray as if everything depends on God. Act as if everything depended on you.
We continue now with the tefillah, which can be found on page 242, and we'll invite you, please, as always, to rise in body or in spirit.
Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your name. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Mika, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el ha'gadol ha'gibar v'hanova El Elyon gomel chasadim tovim v'konei ha'kol v'zoter hastel v'piyot u'mevii gevura mipnei bneihem v'mal shemo b'yahava v'chozer u'mashiach u'magen Baruch atah Adonai magen avraham v'zivat sarah Ata gibar le'olam Adonai mehayeh hakol atah Rav le'oshia varid hatah Mehakel ha'im behesed Mehayeh hakol berachamim Tzomech novim be'honim U'machir asukim U'mekayem et emunato Mishenei Yahweh Michamocha ba'gevurot, u'midomela, me'lemachim u'mehayeh, u'matzia Yeshua, ve'ne'eman tzalecha hayot ha'ol, ve'etah Adonai, mehayeh ha'kol.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה לזה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך על הארץ, כבודו, אדיר אדירנו אדוני, אדונינו אדיר שמך בכל הארץ,
And please be seated as we continue singing and celebrating the joy of Shabbat. We'll invite you to join us, please, on page 250 for the singing of Yismechu.
Shomeri, 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 Shabbat V'Koreh, Shabbat, Yismechu v'Malechotecha. Shomeri, 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 Shabbat V'Koreh, Shabbat. Oh, Mekadeshi, Mekadeshi Shevi Shabbat. Kulam yisme'u v'yitan v'mitovecha Shabbat. Oh, yisme'u v'malechotecha. Shomeri, 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 Shabbat V'Koreh, Shabbat. Yisme'u v'malechotecha. Shomeri, 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 Shabbat V'Koreh, Shabbat. Mechashvi רצית בו וקידשת שבת, חמדן ימים אותו קראת שבת, אוי ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת, ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. זכר למעשה בראשית שבת, זכר למעשה בראשית שבת, אוי ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת, ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת.
Adonai our God, grant us our
Page
heritage.
252 as we continue.
Adonai our God, grant us our heritage, your holy Shabbat, that Israel, who sanctifies your name, may rest on it. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Hamachazir Shechinato Yetzion. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose divine presence is felt again in Zion. Baruch atah Adonai, Hatov Shimcha Urha Na'eh Lehodot. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose goodness deserves thanks and praise.
We continue now on page 258 with our prayers, our songs, our hopes, our aspirations for peace.
Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, bracha. La 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 la, la 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 la, la la la
We take a few moments, each of us, all of us, and we pray, we meditate in silence. It is incredible times in which we live, in which we can be in the sanctuary and at home and in the garden all at the same time. And this is really and truly what has kept our community together, not just over this last year and change, but really over thousands of years. Our willingness to adapt, our willingness to move with the times, and the beauty that it affords us. So we're so thankful that you're willing to move with us. And we turn now to our Seder Kriyat Torah, our service for the reading of Torah. That can be found in your Siddurim on page 362. And we'll invite you, please, as we prepare to remove the Torah from the ark, the Torah that is passed this morning in our sanctuary. We will remove it from the ark, but we had the opportunity with the Yosha family and with the girls' extended family to actually pass the Torah from generation to generation to ensure not just its safe transmission, but its meaningful transition, so that we can keep all of us together as a community, but most importantly, keep us focused on the things that matter, our principles, our values, our core teachings. So at this time, as we turn to page 362, we'll invite you, please, to rise.
Ein kamocha v'Elohim Adonai, ve'en kemasecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'memshadecha bechol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlul Adonai Tzid, Ramemosh Moyadav. Ya la la, ya la la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la la, ya la la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, la la, ya la la, ya la la, ya la 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 la.
And please be seated. Please be seated. This morning we will be hearing from the book of Numbers, from Parshat Korach. It is a most compelling and perplexing and somewhat violent, not somewhat, definitely a violent story, but one that teaches us a great deal, and one that Sivan and Sapna will each illuminate for us a little bit further as they share their words in a bit. But we will begin first with each of their readings from the book of Numbers, beginning with chapter 16. That can be found in your Chumashim on page 1003. At home, you'll see the reading appear also on your screen. And we hope that you'll be able to follow along in the reading as it is offered to you.
So I will first read that.
Oh, no.
We're going to ask.
Sorry. Screen.
Okay, now we're calling those.
Okay. That I can see that. מתחילים?
כן.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר
בנו מכל העמים,
נתן
נתן
לנו את תורתו, ברוך אתה אדוני, נותן התורה.
אמן.
ויקרח בן יצהר בן קחת בן לוי ונתן ואבינה ומאיר אליאב ואון בן פרץ בן הלל ויקומו לפני משה אנשים מבני ישראל 200 נשיאי עדה קריאי מועד שם ויקהלו משה ואהרון ויאמרו עליהם ובהם כי העדה כולם קדושים ובתוכם אדוני ותתנסו כהונה.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
אמן.
Amen. Well, give a hug to your grandparents.
ישר כוח, ישר כוח.
חזק וברוך.
Well, for the second Aliyah, we invite John Besenthal and Orna Korn. יעמדו ינקל בן שמואל ונעמי, אורנה בת שמעון וחנה, מונין לעלייה שנייה.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אתה המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
וישמע משה ויפול על פניו וידבר אל כל נתן ואמר וידע אדוני אשר לו בית הקדוש והגיע אליו לעת אשר בו יפיד אליו. So תעשו כלהם נפשות ובכל הנתון ותנו להן אש ושימו עליהן כתוב לפני אדוני מהר היה. האיש אשר אדוני הוא הקדוש
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
Amen. Well, for the third Aliyah, we call your parents, Sav and Sivan Yosha. יעמדו עשה בן מתתיהו תדר ברוס, אליטל בת אברהם ושרה לעלייה שלישית.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
ויאמר משה אל קורח שמעונה בן לוי, המעט מכם כי הדיח ישראל הם מעדת ישראל להקריב את הם אליו לעבוד את עבודת משכן אדוני ולעמוד לפני העדה ושתם וקרבת את כל החברים הלווים איתך וגישתם גם כחותנם להם אתה והודתך אנו עדים אדוני בכבוד מהו תמינו עליו.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נתן בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
Well, you can hug your.
This is the first
חזק
set
וברוך.
right, the
מזל
first set
טוב.
of hugs and kisses, the first set for Sivan.
Mazel tov, mazel tov.
For the fourth Aliyah, we call.
Mazal tov.
We call our special bat mitzvah, Sivan Yosha. Tamot, 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 tamot. Sivan jina bat elitau v'yasam, habachura bat mitzvah. Hazak, 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 v'nit hazek, hazak v'matz.
Baruch Adonai HaMelech Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Vayishlach Moshe V'yikol V'natan Ve'la'aviram V'nei Eliyav Vayamru lo na'aleh Yitalitanu me'et savat halav u'devash lahamitenu b'nei ki tisareh aleinu gam tisareh lo el eretz savat halav u'devash Hari otanu, batitanu, mahalat saiden, v'haim hainei, anashim haim, tenakeh lo na'aleh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu torat emet, v'hayei olam natan b'tofinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Mazel tov.
And the second
Felicitaciones.
set, yes, the second set of hugs and kisses for
Mazel
Sivan.
tov.
Mazal tov, mazal tov.
Mazel tov.
We continue now with the remainder of this section of Korach, which will be shared with us by Sapna. That is Numbers beginning chapter 18, verses 11 and forward. In your Chumashim, you can find that on page 1009.
And for the first Aliyah, we call Amit, Alan, Matan, Rosenberg. So the Rosenbergs and Alon. Yamdu, Amit bat Matityahu, Theodor Veros, Abraham ben Israel, Yehuda Besima Dvora, Matan li ben Abraham ve Amit, Tomer bet Matityahu, Theodor Veros, Lilia Rishanam, and that's everybody.
Baruch Adonai Amborah, Baruch Adonai Amborah, Baruch Adonai Amborah Yoram Ba'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torto. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Libnotecha, Mitali Hakolam, Kotahai Bedetai, Yachalotom, Kol Hele Vitai, Vechol Hele Tirosh Vedatan, Reshitam, Asher Yivnu Adonai, Echanitatim, Behold, Kol Asher, Be'atzam, Asher Abiyu Adonai, Yahyeh, Kotahai Bedetai, Yachlendi, Kohen Yisrael, Yahyeh.
Baruch Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu torat emet, v'chayei olam natan betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
For second Aliyah, we call James and Andrea Moed. Yamdu Hayim Bet Peniel v'Yosef, Shivra Bat Peniel v'Yosef, Liliyah Rishona.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamorach. Baruch Adonai Baruch Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
We can't hear you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen.
We said last night that on Shabbat we know we have this double portion of souls, how very fitting it is when we have twins, that they get double the love from both sides, not just double the work, but double the love from both sides on representing so much of the love of the community that is around you. We continue now with our third Aliyah.
So we call your parents back to sit next to you, Asaf and Sivan Yosha. Yamdu Asaf ben Theodor Matityahu veRos, Elita ben Abraham veSara, Yashlishit.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamorach. Baruch atah Adonai Borach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
olam, melech olam, Hinei Adonai Ozoreach ta, Vayomer Adonai Yelachamo, Betzam Lotiha, Lehem, Lo Yireach B'Tacham, Ani Gacha, Nahala, B'Tachim Yisrael.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu torat emet, v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Mazel tov, felicidades a los papás y a la bat mitzvah.
Mazel tov, yashar koyach.
So let's continue with Sapna's aliyah. We're going to call her for her special aliyah. Tamot, 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 tamot. Sapna v'Shabbat elitov v'Yosef, habachura bat mitzvah. Chazak, 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 beni kazek, chazak v'ematz.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach,
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Olam Ha'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mi'olamim, v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Hinei natanti kol asher b'Yisrael lenahala, elef avodatam asher הם את עבודת המועד, ולא יקריבו עוד בני ישראל אלוהים מועד, לשתת למות. ועבד הלוי את עבודת אוהל מועד, וימשו עולם מוקד, עולם דורות הם ותח בני ישראל, לא ינהלו נחלם. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נתן לצפינו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
Amén. Amén, amén. Mazel tov. A toda la familia.
Mazel tov.
We continue now. We know that words of Torah, so beautifully shared and prepared by Sivan and Sapna, coming up off the scrolls, out forward from your screen, only have their finest complement and richness when followed by parents' blessings. So Asaf and Amy, we turn to you now at this time.
To our dearest Sapna and Sivan, more than any other day, our words today matter. These words are an offering from both of us. It feels less scary that way, to have someone to lean on, just as you have each other. You are both students of the world, always questioning, always seeking. So when we offer you the blessing of a world that may open to you, you know this truth to be more complicated. At times, you have achieved success due to your diligent work and persistent efforts. Today is a shining example of that. At other times, privilege and luck have been part of the mix. We offer to you a gift that has been there all along. The unspoken influence of all those in our family who are with you now and have come before you. We imagine your ancestors lined up behind you right now, all in awe that they are in a room together.
In Judaism, we speak of ledov vadov, from generation to generation. For you, this means that in your very bodies, you carry the history of partition with great-grandparents crossing from Pakistan to India. This means you hold Nanu and Nani's decision to leave a homeland and create a new life. You carry Grandma's story of her family's flight from Europe just before the Holocaust to South America and then the Bronx. You carry Saba's roots and lines through generations of Sabras that have bloomed in Israel. This is incredible. This is a true gift. Yes, it is a lineage of traumas and suffering and grave consequences, but by the very fact of both of you standing here, the grace, remarkable resilience of these lineages is what is offered to you today.
A bat mitzvah is a Jewish tradition, but it celebrates all the parts of you. May you always find strength in your heritage. May you each find your own way to give voice to your heritage. May you find clarity and not feel that any one part has to be diminished, but rather that each part is determined and defiant as those that have brought us here. Sapna. In the face of adversity, your bravery smolders. What we mean by this is that your bravery bubbles directly beneath your surface. You carry a depth of knowledge that makes us admire your decisions. You have come to us with problems before, and sometimes we don't have solutions to offer you. This is always a strange feeling for us, your parents. It is the feeling of the highest point of the pirate ship at Seabreeze, when we are almost upside down, but not quite. But then we watch you make your own decisions, often good decisions. This is not to say that all your decisions will always be good or even have to be good, but that they are your own. You have now and have always had the tools to make a smart call. We see this in you. Your form of bravery is at eye level. It is always within your reach. We have watched as you actually grow calmer in the face of challenge, whether it is approaching academics, running, piano, or even when you are forging new friendships. These are the things that you bring your whole self to. With your superpower of deep concentration, challenges hold still for you. Your courage turns into an intention to be steady, to hold a rhythm, and to own your own decisions.
Sivan, we remember we would go to kindergarten, touching Mrs. Knightley's leg as she walked around the classroom. Those moments were your first feats of courage. Your writing started with green crayons, the color of Tiana's dress, writing stories about penguins and squirrels. You would have us rolling in laughter about Smokey the raccoon's antics. Now you write stories about women who have power, often lethal, and are not afraid to use their voices. You write with brave recklessness. You are willing to take chances. With your words, you gather people together, reminding us that we are most effective at change when we lift others up. The world will have endless stories to offer you to draw on. These will never run out. Often confidence and bravery of the kind you possess diminish with age, but you have shown us that you have a superpower, your very own lasso of truth, the ability to draw on bravery day by day, moment by moment. We see this in your writing, in how you play the guitar, your openness to new experiences, but always in how you make others feel that their own courage is enough.
To both of you, our dear daughters, our dear hearts, keep on walking, keep on seeking.
We're always here for you.
It's so good that you're not socially distancing from those children, because if we could come through the screens, we would hug them as well. We would hug them as well. The words that you share the words of Torah that you share and the words that your parents share, Sivan and Sapna, as we said when we took the Torah from the Ark with you yesterday, they are not meant to be tucked away either in the Aron, either in the Ark, or either from this moment, this morning, this beautiful Shabbat morning, but they are meant to reverberate, to accompany you, to accompany all of us as we continue forward. So we will, at this time, prepare to return the Torah to its resting spot in the Ark. Page 374 is where you will find that in your Sidurim, and we'll invite you, please, to rise. And please be seated as we continue with our prayers for healing. We say, Mishaberach Avotenu v'Imotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leahu Yivarech et Holim. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and give strength to those who are struggling, whether for weakness of body or weakness of spirit. This morning we're holding in our prayers Shana Esther bat Ruchel, Chayanecha bat Riva Leah, Katriel Parachia ben Herschel, Lazer v'Shoshana, Sarah bat Avraham v'Sarah, Alan Skirker, Laura Braun, Miriam bat Ella, Stephen Brent, Rini Feingold, Meredith Cabanis Ader, Irving Manis, Ralph Bookbinder, Masha Batsheva, Greg Novozenitz, Susan Silton Tobias, Kim Stanger Delisle, Gabriel Berger, George, Hank Ferrioli, Nancy Cohn, Lynn Fragan, Vicky Eckstein Kennedy, Stephen Loeb, Tammy Henson, Brian Mansfield, Dean Harris, Abigail Herman, and Michael Shartuk. If there are others whom you would add to our Mishaberach list, we'll invite you, please, in the sanctuary first to let us know by sharing that name aloud. And we'll invite you at home, please, to take just a moment and unmute yourself or add that name of your loved ones into the chat, and let's include them in our prayers as well.
Henny Moed,
Daphna Monin Arditi,
Linda Platt,
Jesse Wilson. Oh, let's see, it's not.
Polly Miglani.
याद करना पड़ेगा कहना है मेरे गाने
We don't hear.
we don't hear.
Wish you both the best.
Веселее. Веселее.
Yeah.
Voilà.
What should I do?
I don't know if people can ask. Cantor Brahman, Rabbi Till, we can't hear anything.
Okay.
Do people at Zoom at home hear us?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
We cannot hear the blessing. We cannot hear the cantor.
The girls will go on.
Okay.
We're so fun.
I think we should wait. I thought we should
No.
I think they're figuring it out. They're changing posts.
Hijos cantan.
Everyone hold tight.
Yeah. Yeah. Sapna and Sivan, you can't hear us. Can you see the screen?
We hear you now.
No, we don't see the screen, but now we hear you.
You hear me on Zoom, but they don't see the screen. We're working on it. Do you see it now? Okay, take two. We'll continue now with our.
Now we
don't hear you. Rabbi Till?
Yeah, Sapna and Sivan, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, but we can't hear you. Hold on 1 second, working on it. We're working on it.
Okay.
Okay, let's. Sapna and Sivan, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Let's try. Let's see.
Okay. Okay. Ooh. sinah, umahim otar, itarak sinah, befi hohai, tani leolam ba'ed, baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat.
Mazel tov, felicidades.
Yashar koach a las Benei Mitzvot. Muy lindo.
Stop you, not a global pandemic, not having a bat mitzvah, becoming banot mitzvah at home, not tech problems. Nothing is going to stop you, and that's exactly who we want and need and are counting on in this Jewish community. Sivan and Sapna, you take your place in the boldest, most unusual of ways this morning, and we couldn't be prouder. We will continue now with each of your divrei Torah, each of your sets of words. Sivan, please, would you share your words of Torah with us now?
Okay. Shabbat Shalom. The first part of Korach is about how Korach, Datan, Abiram, and Un stand up and rebel with other people of the community against Moses and his brother Aaron. Korach accused them of raising themselves above the Eternal's congregation, stating that all of the community is holy, not just them. Moses was overwhelmed by this and framed a plan. He asked that Korach and his men put incense and fire on fire pans and lay them before the Eternal. He would do the same. Then, by mining, the Eternal would choose who was ultimately holy and would be granted access to God. Moses also proceeded to essentially tell Korach that he's ungrateful, as he rattled off all of the things the Eternal had done for him and his people. Who is Aaron that you should rule against him? He said, demanding to know why Korach's people also required power. Moses called for Datan and Abiram and asked them to stand with him, but they refused. Datan and Abiram believed that Moses shielded them from the truth. Unsettled by this, Moses went to the Eternal to tell God that he was innocent and to disregard their claim. Anyone who knows me probably knows that I'm a big Wonder Woman fan. And one of my favorite Wonder Woman quotes is, fighting doesn't make you a hero. Fighting is displayed in all ways, from physical revolt to a petty argument that you'll probably regret later. But when is fighting and rebellion necessary? When in a fight do you turn from the hero to the villain? Or can you be both? In this portion, Korach is portrayed as the villain. But I had to read the entire portion to see that. After reading just my section, I was convinced that Moses was the villain, and that Korach had rebelled rightfully out of anger, jealousy, and maybe even a lust for power. I can only tell you this story from my eyes, and maybe this looked different to other people. But I can see Korach's perspective and understand the want and almost need for equity that Korach probably felt. I think being a twin and wanting everything to be fair and equitable go hand in hand. I can sympathize with that, and in this case, understand the desire for rebellion, but I can't fully apprehend the need for it. There's lots that we don't know, and a lot of background to this story that is both left out and I am not aware of. So, what exactly did Moses do wrong? Why should Korach become the leader? And would that be fair? Then would Moses see an opportunity or even demand for another rebellion? The call for rebellion looks different to everyone. This past year, the riots at the Capitol were an example of a modern rebellion. This was a violent example, consisting of anger. There wasn't really a fair cause to break or bend the rules in this situation. But even if this wasn't the time to do that, I think there are certain times when rebelling by bending the rules is more effective than outright breaking them. Maybe if Korach had used his words a little bit more charm with the people, he would have been able to bend them into his direction, like Moses did. Rabbi Till gave me this example to imagine I was Korach and my sister was Moses, and my sister was just automatically put in charge for no reason. Obviously, that wouldn't go over so well. And I think the argument that Korach has is that Moses maybe didn't deserve the power, but it was granted to him anyway. What would happen if everyone shared a little bit of their power? If everyone could relinquish or just retreat from the center of power and control, then maybe people would see each other as partners, like Korach and Moses were unable to do. I'll quote again, fighting doesn't make you a hero. So in my opinion, neither Korach nor Moses were heroes, and we can't be heroes unless you put a stop to the fighting and give up a little bit of control truly recognize the other person and their strengths. Then maybe we can have equity. So now I want to thank a few people who helped me. So thank you, Mrs. Rosenberg, for teaching me my Torah portion from the beginning and bearing with all of the times I got stuck in that one little part of the word. Thank you, Rabbi Till, for helping me write my Devar Torah. Even when I hated reading out loud, I felt comfortable. And although I don't think you knew this, thank you for humoring me on that second time I met with you, because I was really jacked up on coffee. Accidentally, of course. Cantor Brown, thank you for never fitting into that little box on Zoom. And even when we didn't know the Kiddush, you didn't give up on us. John, once he said that I shouldn't go back for the roadkill. I should ride right over it. I don't fully know why. That has kind of always stuck with me. So thank you for teaching me to ride right over the roadkill. Nanu, Grandma, and Saba, thank you for appropriately spoiling me and giving me hugs. It is well appreciated. Masi and Francis, summers would be a whole lot hotter without your pool. You guys are also not totally off the hook for spoiling us, especially with peanut butter pretzels and sea beach trips. Balu and Remy, you always provide something for me to touch, kiss, and pet. You tolerate it, and for that, I'm grateful. Hannah, you say that we are your number one fans, but honestly, I feel like you are our number one fans. Thank you for listening to me, talking to me, and always playing Uno. You make me feel so loved. Papa, I don't really know how you do it, but you can make everything fun. Somehow when I'm with you, going to Costco to fill gas is fun. Also, I know you're not going to like that I mentioned this, but I love your facial expressions. Every time you get a smile, I crack my back. I feel happy too. And even though I hate Superman, you make a great Clark Kent. Mama, for you, I really just wanted to rattle off inside jokes, but I want you to know that I always feel like you listen to me. When no one else wants to hear about the dog I saw on the walk, I know you will listen to me and talk to me about his cute little teeth, and that is priceless. Also, you know what I mean when I say he is mine. Now, this was the hard thank you. Sis, I've known you literally forever, and as much as I like writing, I felt like whatever I could say to you just wouldn't be enough. Thank you for everything, sis. Thank you for organizing my life, even when I don't want it organized. Thank you for making sure that my whole life isn't consumed by Balu. Only 50%. I feel safe and most comfortable around you more than anyone. Thank you for always looking out for me. Okay. The hard side. Down. Okay. Shabbat Shalom. In this parsha, there is a man named Korah, whom this portion is named after. Korah is part of the Levi tribe, but is jealous of Aaron because he is part of the Kohen tribe, and Korah wants to be a Kohen. The Levites have many jobs in the temples. They sing the Psalms and in charge of maintenance, and they also guide the temple. Being a Levite is an honor, and the work that they do is crucial, but not exactly glamorous. The Kohanim, Aaron's tribe, are in charge of storing the knowledge and interpreting the Torah, which is a very elite job. Even though it is an honor to be a Levite, Korah was still not happy, so he formed a rebellion against the Kohanim. He manages to gather 250 people to go and complain to Moses. Korah and his followers want to be Kohanim. They want leadership. They want power. But Aaron objects to that idea. Aaron and Moses believe that every Jew is different and special. So why should Korah have all the power? Korah and his followers prepared a keturot, an incense offering made by burning animal fat. They brought the keturot to the Mishkan, a holy sanctuary, to show that they would make worthy Kohanim. Aaron prepares an offering as well. So Korah, Aaron, Moses, and all of Korah's followers stand outside the Mishkan with their offering. Then suddenly, the ground swallows up all the people trying to offer keturot against Moses and Aaron, including Korah. The remaining Jews who did not offer keturot and survived now understand that Moses and Aaron are the leaders chosen by God. Only Moses and Aaron can offer keturot. Still, some Jews complain, so a plague begins to spread. Without hesitating, Aaron brings another keturot to the Mishkan to ask for amends and for the plague to stop. God accepts his offer and grants one last miracle. The plain old, simple, dry stick that Aaron always had by his side abruptly begins sprouting almonds. The Jews are in awe. They do not know how such a barren stick could produce so much goodness. It is now evident that Aaron was the kohen chosen by God. Those of you who know me well know that I'm a runner, but I think we are all runners, racing for first place. Everyone wants to win and everyone wants to flourish, too many times at the cost of others. If you believe that what is so important, you can just mindlessly plow through everyone's life, that is not the way to live. At the end of the day, we have a duty as human beings to look out for others and help each other when we can. Is it worth it to break a promise at the cost of your success? Korach certainly thought so. He was given a number and a pace he had to go, but he flew faster. I don't think that is wrong. I think it is brave. He was brave enough to break his stereotype, brave enough to advocate for himself, brave enough to turn his anger into influence. Unfortunately, he was not brave enough to succor others, just himself. Even if he was right, even if the system was unjust, he should not have disrespected his roots. There are ways to make changes in a system which don't require outright rebellion against that system. Of course, there are also times when a system must be completely dismantled because it is corrupt or harmful. How do we know when to accept and when to rebel? This is why Korach's story is so ambiguous. It is not wrong to want to become a better person, and it is not wrong to challenge outdated laws. Why would God punish a trailblazer? Perhaps the lesson is this: Korach's intentions were unhinged, and his actions were violent. Even if peace wanted to crawl into his palm, he let it slide off his fingertips, dripping into vengeance. Every single person has Korach in them, and every single person has Aaron in them. In our modern day, we all have the duties of Levites. We all have the duties of Kohanim. We are all learners, all failures, all accomplishment. We are all runners, shattered in medals and sweat and muscles made for hill climbing, with a burning passion to win. Ambition runs through most of us, but so does altruism. The thing about accomplishment and ambition is that it is a privilege. If we are able to visualize ourselves striving, we then bear the responsibility for all those who may not have the privilege to see that for themselves. We rise by lifting others up. So what good is there in winning if we leave so many people behind? Poet laureate Amanda Gorman said, if we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy. All races have rules, just like life. Some moral, some written. They're equally as important. If we push and cheat, we are not winning. We win when we break the banner together. Before I end, I would just like to thank all the amazing people who helped me in ways big and small. Rabbi Till, I love meeting with you. You made me think about things in ways I never thought of before. I always felt so comfortable sharing and learning with you. I learned so much. Canterbury, your outgoing and entertaining personality that can never be contained in the best way possible made learning my Haftarah so much more enjoyable. Mrs. Rosenberg, your teacher style was patient and calm. You never made me feel bad for not understanding something or having to practice the same verse over and over again. Learning Torah with you in and out of Hebrew school was really amazing. Thank you to all my other Hebrew school teachers here at Temple Sinai for teaching me so much about Judaism. Aina, את החברה שלי, המרה שלי, והאישה משוגעת שמלמדת אותי עברית. The last people I would like to thank are my family. You guys are the best. Hannah, when I think of you, I automatically smile. You make me laugh, grin, and I would never put any of my laundry if it wasn't for you. You are truly one of my favorite people in the whole world. Nanu, although sometimes odd, I will always appreciate listening to you tell us all the stories you have stashed in your mind. I love listening to you talk about Nani with such grace and authenticity. I know if she were physically here today, she would be sitting right up in the front row, grinning, readying her hands for a whistle. Marcy and Francis, thank you for always being fun and generous, whether it's letting us test out your baked goods or swimming in your pool. Grandma and Saba, you spoil us, kiss us, love us, and hug us. I love you guys too. Mama, I will groan, roll my eyes, and possibly offend you. But I do this because I know you will never stop loving me. And I want you to know I will never stop loving you. You have nurtured our precious relationship with such grace and such love. I love you so much. Papa, I know you would run to the end of the world for me, but I think it is imperative that you know I would listen to hundreds of financial conversations, put away thousands of dishes, and run millions of miles for you. Then I would do it all again. I know you will always be there when I need you. Even if I push you away, you will never leave. Your patience is truly such a blessing. The last person I would like to thank is you, sis. We think separately, we speak separately, we dream separately, but we will always rise together. When we were little, I remember I could never say I love you. Now I realize that every fight, every Pinterest chat, every wink from across the room was me saying that I love you. So sis, I do love you. I'm ready to fight, to laugh, to talk. I know that I will always be able to look at you, not backward, not forward, not down, but up, as my beautiful, kind, hilarious, smart sister.
Not enough Kleenex in the sanctuary or in your homes, I would imagine. I would imagine beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And though there is no finish line, as you mentioned, there is no finish line for your becoming a bat mitzvah. You are en route to the most extraordinary places together and surrounded by an inordinate amount of love and support. It is at this time my pleasure and my honor to invite Ms. Lindsay Hagan from our Board of Trustees to offer some gifts and some short words with you as well.
Shabbat Shalom, and what an honor it is. Can we mute the temple just so I don't hear my echo? Excellent, thank you. Just such beautiful words that you have shared today. One of the great joys of teaching for the religious school is being able to see you in 4th grade and then see you at this momentous occasion. And I still remember the first time that you walked into my classroom and the contributions that you've made that, you know, your parents alluded to, deep thinking, hardworking individuals. And it's very clear that in the preparation and today of becoming, bat mitzvah, that has just continued to grow and change. So it gives me great pleasure and just such nachas or joy to be among one of the first to wish you a mazal tov on becoming a bat mitzvah today. On behalf of the Board of Trustees and the entire congregation, we offer our deepest congratulations. We do have some gifts. We have a certificate that states that you became a bat mitzvah today at Temple Sinai. We have a gift certificate from Nifty towards a future teen trip to Israel, and a gift certificate for the Jewish Federation of Greater Rochester Gift to Israel program. From our congregation today, we present to you, and I'm not sure if you've picked it up, but if not, it'll be at the office, a Kiddush cup, which we hope will bring memories of this important day whenever you use this cup for Shabbat and Jewish holidays in the future. We also present to you the book Torah, a Modern Commentary, that we hope will be a source of continued Jewish learning in your years ahead. I would give you a hug if I was there in person, and I look forward to the day when we're back together and I can do so. Mazal tov to you and your families.
And agreed. Just a few brief words before we turn to our conclusion. Sapna and Sivan, you each have done a spectacular job alone and together in your spaces. You each have, from your own perspective, examined this portion and asked why Korach was really cast in the way that he was. And perhaps the two of you know better than most what it's like when people make quick judgments and assumptions without really taking the time to learn more. You look remarkably alike. Anybody who sees you can know that. You sound alike. You both like to read. You both play instruments, and yet we know, to know you, is to know the very many places where you are each different from one another. Sapna, you, for instance, play the piano, correct? Yes. And you need to know why there is a difference between the white keys and the black keys, that they represent the musical tones, and that the black keys represent the half-step intervals between those musical tones. And as you play, you know that the colored keys help you to, in fact, decipher between the natural pitches and the semitone pitches. And Sivan, you play the guitar. We got to hear that a little bit this morning. And you need to know differently how the gauge and the metals and the string core and the winding method and the coating all impact the tone that you can achieve with your guitar. Full disclosure, I know that you can both play an instrument and that you're both adept at it, but as a non-musician, the cantor will tell you I am a non-musician. I had to look that information up to make sure that it was in fact correct. But knowing that information doesn't give me any understanding whatsoever of your motivation to play. I can speculate, but if one decided to stop playing, one of you decided to stop playing, not that I'm recommending that on any level, would I think that you were being rebellious or a rebel rouser or disrespectful? Probably not. If, however, one of you tried to convince the other to stop playing their instrument, that might be different. What do we know about Korach? Right? We're taught that Korach and his followers think that Moses and Aaron are acting as if they're kind of holier than thou. You each mentioned that. Saying all of the community are holy, all of them, and the Eternal's in their midst. Why then do you raise yourselves up above the Eternal's congregation? And that's really the cause of the rebellion. Sometimes we know that rebellion can be good and important and needed. To speak truth to power, don't ever stop doing that. Rebellion for true and good and just reasons is what our sages deem fitting. But rebellion for power, for the sake of victory alone, unacceptable and dangerous. Clarity of intention is really what's critical. Rabbi Rachel Cohn of blessed memory suggested that each of us, as you noted, live with an ongoing conflict between our internal Moses and our internal Korach. You talked about that as well, between humility and arrogance, between selfishness and selflessness. And it's for this reason that the fire pans are incorporated into the altar as a reminder to each of us and to all of us, to keep us from arrogance and from assuming that we're immune to arrogance. And this is, in closing, a poem from Lori Patton which illustrates this. She writes, Moses, sure of God's voice, and Korach, sure of his own, each trying to tell the difference between arrogance and righteous anger, a line so thin, thin as a flame in a fire pan. So Sapna and Sivan, as you taught us today from our biblical text, and through the sharing of your own unique thoughts, each of you with your own unique voice, there is a poignant way we know to be tightly bound to one another, and yet to differ and to work together. To hear competing voices in our heads and from the community, and not just squelch ambition, but be aware and clear regarding the intent of our ambitions. And as Rabbi Cowan said, the Korach in all of us gets triggered by different emotions, by fear, anxiety, greed, or doubt. And when this happens, we lose sight of the whole and become caught up in our own inner dramas. Moses' paths and ours and yours is to move from that narrow place of doubt, from fear, from anger and jealousy, to an expansive, covenanted life in community of mutual care and responsibility. In such a community, all people are holy. They and we can remind each other that what matters is not the ambition of self, but the work of helping to make the neshama, the soul, the home, a world, a safer, wiser, more compassionate place for all. I am confident, so confident, Sivan and Sapna, that you, with your deep moral and ethical cores, with your keen intellect, and with your big, beautiful hearts, will be absolutely vital in that process. The cantor and I offer you this blessing as you continue to discern, to question, and to offer. May God bless you and may God keep you. May God's light shine upon you and may God be tender and gracious with you. May you feel God's presence within you always, and may you find and may you know peace.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
We continue now as we turn to our concluding prayers, the Elenu, which can be found on page 586, and we'll invite you, please, in body or in spirit, to rise.
עלינו לסבך לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליותר בראשית, שלא שנגי ארצות, ולא שמנג משפט אדמה, שלא שמו כדרכיהם, וגורלנו גאול חמונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
Connected to all of our moments are those who preceded us, those who've given shape to who we are, and our thoughts turn to loved ones whom death has taken from us in recent days, and those who died at this season in years past. We open our hearts as well to the wider circles of loss in our community and wherever grief touches the human family. During the period of Shloshim, we are recalling Marie Eichner, mother of Jeffrey Eichner and Sally Graff. This marks a yahrzeit, an anniversary of passing for Alec Alpert, Ben Burns, Rita Boris, Sylvia Chambers, Doris Cherkasky, Joseph DiCario, Rosa Fagan, Betty K. Fisher, Harold Foreman, Ann Ginsberg, Eleanor Goldman, Irving Goldman, Ann Gorin, Sandy Greenberg, Francis S. Hogan, Samuel Itkin, Irma Jacobs, Martha Coleman Davidson, Harry Lax, Barbara Leonard, Alice Lewis, Merton Madway, Blanche Mandel, John Mayer, Charles Montrose, Hyman Peck, Earl Rellin, Saul Schwartz, Gertrude Shernan, Paul Simons, Rita Simon, Herman Simpkins, Muriel Steinberg, Rosalind Sussman, John Warner, Sam Webby, and Etta Yesenow. If there are other names that you would add to this list, please, in the sanctuary, we'll invite you, please, to do so first. And those of you at home, will invite you to take a moment and unmute yourselves and share the name of your loved one whom you are remembering, or add them to the chat. Zichronam livracha, may their memories all be for a blessing as we continue with the Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei rabba be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'vizman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevarach le'olam olmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace bestow peace on all who mourn, and may we be a source of comfort to all who are bereaved as we join together in saying, Amen. And please be seated. Please be seated. We want to wish a mazel tov to the Yosha Miglani family for a spectacular morning, and to all who are with us, joining us near and far. We want to remind you tomorrow that there is the Speaking of Race discussion at 4 p.m. and then on June 16th, our next installment of Rabbi Larry Englander speaking about Judaism and the Big Bang. Our annual meeting is on June 17th at 7 p.m. and Get S'more Shabbat is next Friday night. Please help us by registering for that beautiful Shabbat evening outside. And next Saturday morning, Scarlett Kinzer will be called to the Torah as a bat mitzvah as well. We want to thank our greeter, Lindsay Hagan, our board presenter this morning, Lindsay Hagan, and also we want to offer a mazel tov to Howard and Sue Weiner on the marriage of their son Eric to Jessica Steckloff, and to Stuart and Mary Lucy Schweid on the marriage of their daughter Kara to Gavin Morrow. A mazel tov to all of you who are celebrating, to the Miglani Yosha family. Again, a mazel tov to you in the sanctuary for help. Thank you for helping us celebrate Shabbat at this moment when you are remembering as well. Thank you for all of us for sitting tight with us as we navigate these unusual times. We will finish with Kiddush and Motzi in our closing song, for which we invite you to join us. For Kiddush, Yosha family, we'll invite you please to join us, to rise and speak to the sweetness of the day.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen.
Amen. Please be seated and we'll continue with Motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen, amen. I love that your two chalot are different. Join us in our closing song, O Jivo Shalom Aleinu.
Okay. Ready? O Jivo Shalom Aleinu, O Jivo Shalom Aleinu, O Jivo Shalom Aleinu, ve'al kulam. O Jivo Shalom Aleinu, O Jivo Shalom Aleinu, O Jivo Shalom Aleinu, ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam, salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. O Jivo Shalom Aleinu, O Jivo Shalom Aleinu, O Jivo Shalom Aleinu, ve'al kulam.
Siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov,
Siman tov, Siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, Siman tov, Siman tov.
Mazel tov, mazel tov.
Mazel tov.
ובכל ישראל, דוד מלך ישראל, דוד מלך ישראל, חי בקיים.
Mazel tov, Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shabbat
Mazel tov,
shalom.
Siman tov.
Simen tov, mazel tov, simen tov.
Mazel tov, mazel tov, Siman tov, Siman tov, mazel tov, Siman tov, Yelanu.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. Mazal tov.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
shalom.
מזל טוב על הבנות מצוות.
Mazal tov.
Mazal tov Megili and Daphna. From Tel Aviv.
Un saludo a toda la familia desde Santiago de Chile. Un saludo a toda la familia desde Santiago de Chile.
Otro saludo por acá también de Santiago.
Thank you, everyone.
Saludos también de Santiago.
Aquí también de Chile.
From next door. Right from next door. Un gusto ver a la familia unida y of Simjes, que siempre la familia se vea en alegría. Umen.
Hi, everyone. My gosh.
Mazel tov from the Bolnicks in Seattle.
Hi, Bill Nix.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov from India.
Indonesia.
Hi, Alon.
All right. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye.
Anything.
Bye.
Yes.
Oh, there's Alyssa.
Congratulations.
Hi, Janti. Hi, Griffin.
Hi,
Congratulations.
Hi, Janti. I know Risha.
Amy?
Hi, Sally and Phil.
Amy. English auntie's talking. Amy Asaf,
Hi, Auntie.
Sapna and Sivan, everybody alone, Amit, I know all of you. Mazel tov.
Querida familia,
Hi, Sharon. Mom.
querida familia, Mazel tov para todos. Un beso muy grande.
Muchas felicidades, Sapna,
Gracias.
Asaf. Saludos a todos.
Beautiful.
Dear family,
Beautiful.
un
Beautiful
abrazo a
ceremony.
toda la familia desde Santiago. Los quiero mucho, los queremos mucho y espero pronto verlos. I hope we'll see soon again.
I hope so.
Hi, Bala.
Rose.
Shalom, guys.
Hi, Rose. Rose. Oh, you're gone.
Good job, guys. Shabbat shalom. You did a beautiful job.
Thank you.
Shabbat
Shalom.
Amazing ceremony. Beautiful.
Thank you.
So touching. I had tears in my eyes too. Unbelievable. Love you all.
Nana, congratulations.